Oh, hey, wow. Hey, everybody. Welcome to your radios. You just heard me talk about B-Ball's Best Kept Secret, a fantastic hip-hop rap music mixtape from the very early 90s. With me to talk about it now, a very serious and accomplished NBA journalist who I assume has heard a rap song before, Seerat Sohi, everybody. How are you doing today?
Feeling extremely serious, like one of the most serious NBA reporters out there right now.
Like, you've covered real things, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about Dana Barros on this premiere
totally
beat?
real.
I'm like, all right.
I feel like everything is fake. Unless it's like actually real life shit, it's all fake. First of all, I didn't know that was the Harlem Globetrotters' actual music. That music has just been around for so long that, like, it's just like in the ether. I just assumed it was like, like classical music where like anybody can use it for anything at all times. Yeah. Like, I feel like I've heard it in ads. Even if I heard it with like Globetrotter stuff in the background, I think I assumed that was just like, a producer putting that in. I had no idea.
Just a dude whistling. It's like hearing somebody owns Happy Birthday. Same. I didn't know, like, it has a title. Like, what do you mean? That's just dudes whistling.
Yeah, except this we can actually use.
The Harlem Globetrotters, I wonder who's getting the royalties. It sucks that they even made music before they could go digital. They're not going to see any of these like sound exchange numbers. They don't know what ASCAP is. It's kind of, I feel bad for the past.
Yeah, music shouldn't have existed until like 20 years ago. I think that's like the biggest thing I learned from this, actually.
I feel the same way. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's like I feel like there's a stepladder for all this stuff, right? Like, things get better and better as we go. Maybe 30 years, because I feel like the Shaq record was a breaking. Oh yeah, he should have had him on though, because then I think that came out in '93, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the album would have like just become it would have been an instant classic. I don't know. Was it an instant classic? I wasn't around.
It was a technical classic. I was like a little baby kid, but afterwards it's like, it did go platinum, but it wasn't like.
It went platinum?
It went platinum. Shaq went platinum.
Shaq's debut album went platinum.
100%.
He didn't even need Biggie for it to go platinum. I take that back then. He didn't need it. He got like, he preserved his money and he got the platinum record.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a good move by Shaq.
Shaq, as we all know, the most shrewd businessman, the new Papa John himself.
Mm-hmm.
This is also. I'm sorry.
How did we then not go from like this first album to like then him just completely veering off and only doing this, or at least like it being a big part of his career later?
I guess because he really wanted to win a championship. Because I think that's what happened. It was like he did two, and then it was like, all right, the Lakers keep losing in the playoffs. This isn't fun anymore, and then he just kind of just sat it down for a while.
I can see that. I can just see like the press tour not being as fun anymore, and the fans just not being that into it. But it very much harkens back to like the idea of like, when players like post anything that isn't basketball related on IG, and people are like, "Why aren't you in the gym right now?" I feel like he could have done both.
Yeah, because it's like you can't even.
The PR move would have been bad.
Gyms aren't even open 24 hours a day, dude. You could definitely rap at some point.
Yeah, I mean the studio is.
The interesting thing is, Shaq stops rapping, Kobe starts rapping. That's when we get the one with Tyra Banks.
Shaq starts rapping again.
Yeah, then Shaq. Yeah, then they split teams. As soon as he could, Shaq raps again as soon as humanly possible. Very interesting stuff, especially on this day. Damian Lillard yesterday says he decides he's the best rapper in NBA history.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that Dame didn't. Like, Dame just seems like one of those old school guys that would have reverence for history. I didn't see him being like, the rappers now that are like, oh yeah, I don't care about the past. But damn, that's surprising. That's surprising to me. But you know what? At the same time, though, like, Dame has supreme confidence.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that Dame could do any of the things that he does if he didn't believe that he was, the best.
This is true. And if he had happened to heard this mixtape, before he said it, it makes even more sense. Like, those dudes cannot rap. Chris Mills, terrible rapper. One of the worst I've ever heard.
It felt like there's some good stuff on there too. Like I'm very curious to. I didn't get to like listen to like everything, but within the snippets, like you mentioned, Cedric Savala sounding just like Warren G. I think that's highly accurate. Also, at a time for him that he wasn't very beloved. So for him to be talking shit at that moment, interesting. He had. I feel like that was one player who like just got to take heat check after heat check because no one else was around. So it's like actually just not at all surprising to me that he was on this record.
Yeah, I mean, just the blind. He rode the blindfold dunk as far as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't remember
Absolutely.
a single one of his
that.
stat lines. All I remember is he dunked with a blindfold on, and we gave him a pass from that moment on.
Yeah, at that point it was fine. The only thing that's funny was like the 1980s Lakers, of all teams, saying like don't do drugs.
I know it's like, how could they exist without drugs? Like, I know. I mean, what is that team without drugs? It's just AC Green.
Well, it was like, I think history is interesting because like you get to see through lines into particular moments. Like, I wonder if this was the beginning of Kareem's career as an essayist and just moral arbiter for the universe.
He's in the studio like, this isn't for me. This isn't where I should be. You don't need to listen to all of it. You need to hear how bad Jason Kidd is. He's definitely one of the standouts. Is not great. Gary Payton, his song is good. Isaiah Ryder actually could rap today. It's not that he's like great, but his flow and cadence is surprisingly modern. Chris Mills, skip. Malik Sealy's song's not good, but RIP to the gods. So you got to play it and, pour a little 40 out on the street for that. And that'll be my highlights. Oh, yeah. And if you want to cry, whatchamacallit? Brian
Shaw.
B. Shaw. The B. Shaw song.
Brian B. Shaw.
It's so sad.
And what was that one about?
It's about
how. And also, like, at what point in the record did it? Was it like one of like the pre-climax? Like,
oh yeah.
Or was it sort of towards the end where you're like, you're ready to be in your feelings?
It's the second verse. So the first, it starts. It's very normal. He's like, "Hey, what's up? It's B. Shaw. You know me. I play ball. I do all types of things. What's good?" And then it's like something like he's just like very basic. But then in the middle, he's like, "But sometimes life gets real. I lost my whole family." And then he like breaks down what happens. And then like the third verse is about how, he's just living a day at a time and just trying to make it through.
That's actually really sad.
It's sad as hell. And for years you're like, what is Brian Shaw doing here? No one knew what he was dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. And they could have if they had listened to the record, but nobody did. This is what that's surprising to me too. Like, did you figure out why? Because you have a bunch of stars on this thing, or I guess maybe it was actually the lack of star power.
Yeah, I think
it's a bunch of NBA players on it,
but they're not super duper star. The biggest star is probably Gary Payton, but this is early Payton. Mm-hmm. Like Seattle hadn't made a West Final at that point, and Jason Kidd's like a rookie. Dana Barros is like, all right. He's like the second best dude on like one of the worst Sixer teams. When it was like him and what's that dude? Witherspoon. I never knew his first name, but I had 500 of his basketball cards.
Who was he? Like, I imagine they tried to get Shaq. Who else would have made sense at the time to like make this thing pop? Like, was there anybody else that was really, really out here? I feel like right now, if you were to do this, like you could stack it and it would crush.
Anyone, any team. Back then, no. If I'm the one producing it, I'm trying to convince Pippen. Let's get Scottie Pippen on a song. He seems primed for something like that.
That's a good way to look at it, right? Like, get the people, or you don't have to worry too much about like the musical part of it. Like, you can take care of that, but get the people who will have something to say.
Yeah.
Like, That would have been therapeutic for Pippen to get some stuff off of his
He
chest
needed
there.
it bad. And then, and then if it goes well, like, don't let it be a big success. Because then the next summer, now Mike's got a song. Mike's song is the best rap song ever made. He's got Kenny G on it somehow. 9 different producers. He's, you know what I'm saying? He might have invented auto-tune had Scottie Pippen had a hit rap song before him.
You know what else would have been really good? Also, just for processing, but then you'd have like some sort of thematic resonance throughout. Like every single star who lost to Michael in the finals should have collaborated to talk about it, about like what they've been through.
We Are the World of Losers. Incredible.
Can we do that right now with like everyone that hasn't? Well, okay, like actually, we could look at it like there's one way to look at it. Like LeBron. Tried rapping for a bit. It was like, it was really just during the lockout season. It didn't really seem like he ever got back into it. And maybe that's because he was too successful. Like maybe he just didn't need a creative outlet like that because it was just like, I'm LeBron. I'm good.
That's true.
But everybody else around him that hasn't won, like they could use it. Like maybe after 2015, like, it would have been nice for LeBron to get some bars off. But other than that, I just can't really think of a time.
And then he decided to act. He went the other way. He decided Ice Cube route B.
Isn't it crazy that he went from like actually doing a good job in like other roles? Like he was pretty good in Trainwreck to actually just being a bad actor in his own movie.
Yeah, because he decided he's like, all right, now I'm going to try to carry one. We didn't in Trainwreck. He was like, you get to just be yourself.
He didn't have the range.
He tried to show us the range, and it's like, all right, man, let's get back in the gym. Let's see what happens with Space Jam 3 now.
Yeah, he's like, my family doesn't like me. Like he just didn't have the face. He didn't have like any of the appropriate faces to deal with like the emotional situations he was going through.
And as I have found out, emoting with your face is surprisingly hard. I have been on sets and people have been like, hey, Jamel, we need you to do something different with your face. And I have had to go back to them and say, hey, bro, I actually can't. This is all I have, face-wise. I can only do...
You got the Ricky Rubio change your face. Well, let's see. Like, Jamel, I want you to react as though you're hearing the Lakers after-school special for the first time.
I'm like confused. I'm kind of scared. How's that? Does it look like I'm...
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's like a good, like, yeah, it's understated. I think that's like the right response. Like, I think, maybe a little bit more surprise when you figure out exactly what it is.
That's what I'm trying to work on surprise.
You've already worked the surprise is the thing.
Well, okay. I'm trying to work on it.
What advice would you give LeBron? Okay.
It's the hole in my game is surprised, but I was trying to be like, ooh, this is like, I'm like, why are they doing this?
Yeah. Well, in fairness, you've been working on this for a while. I think it'd be hard for you to summon any surprise at this point.
That is true. I have listened to this tape way more than I ever wanted. But
how many times have you listened to it?
I ran it 5 times just to be sure.
Is there anything in it that you're like, oh, that's smart. That was a good choice.
The hip hop basketball genie. There's an intro of a man's voice who just comes on and he's like, hey, what's up? I'm the hip hop basketball genie. And then he kind of just explains what's about to happen, but in like rhyme form. But then we never hear from him again. I think the hip hop basketball genie should have came back a couple times during the CD.
What did he say?
He's just like, he did it very like spoken word rap about like from hip hop, from the black top, rock it till you don't stop. Haha, he did like one of those. And then it was like, okay, I get it.
All of this sounds like it's like, because it's not, but like all of this sounds like it's like white people trying to rap.
I'm doing a very bad job of explaining, is what I'll say.
Okay. No, but just like, like the rigidity of like the rhymes, like hip hop, black top. Like it just feels very like, you're trying to get the technical parts right a little bit.
And
too
that
much.
is hip hop in the early 90s. Welcome to the past. It's very strange. It's very strange to hear dudes enunciate every single word.
Yeah.
They really care about tone. It's like, why aren't you guys just on codeine saying whatever?
Yeah. It's like hip hop and don't stop, just over and over
Basically,
again.
It's really not far off. A lot of similar songs just about how they played ball because it wasn't anything else to do, and I got really good, and now I work really hard, and I'm focused.
Who would be like the best mumble rapper in the modern NBA?
Serge Ibaka.
Serge just got such a smooth and luscious voice. Like, have you heard him speak before? He couldn't mumble if he tried to.
I guess I'm just imagining.
I feel like he would be like a great R&B singer.
Ooh, okay. I mean, that's what I want to see. I want to see his R&B album. Honorable mention to
yeah.
Who actually does do R&B? Why am I blanking on this? He's from DC. Just got hurt. Was on the Rockets. Got traded to Miami. Didn't play the whole end of last year. Was playing for Indy.
Oh, Victor
Oladipo. What a singer.
Yeah, he sings.
He's great.
Yeah, he's a great
singer.
I've
been waiting for Dame and Oladipo to put a song out together. Something for the ladies, you know?
Yeah, throw Serge in there.
I don't see why not, man. Give him a verse in like French. He definitely knows French.
Oh yeah, he knows French. I think he knows Spanish. You could do some you could make some real sensual shit. Like they could make like a straight up sex playlist.
I think America needs it now more than ever. And I think we might need to start a fucking record label. All I have heard in these past 20 minutes or whatever is fantastic, out of the park ideas and concepts.
Yeah, we're just giving these away for free.
Which is fucked up.
Mm-hmm. But you know what, though? Like, maybe we can make it happen.
I got time. I know where to get those soundproof pads. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Get the studio together. Mm-hmm. No idea how to make beats.
I mean, we both work for a podcasting company.
And we're halfway there.
That would be the issue, right? Like, with this, should we maybe would have to merge companies. I mean, this could be a big enough deal to do it.
I mean, it sounds like we're breaking the story. Is Wired onto this? Who do we need to make a press release to? Variety? Podcast Weekly?
Oh no, I think we should think bigger than that. Honestly, I think the best move would actually just to do it and then release the press release on our own platform.
Dog. Yo, we for sure need a platform. How many rappers in the league currently are you aware of, if any? Does it come up often in real press coverage?
I feel like it's one of those things that is strangely so common, but also under discussed. Like, everyone knows about Dame, but it's interesting though. Like, we all want like more insight into certain players, and it's like we don't like listen to their music. Like KD makes music. I think Kyrie makes music. We all know Iman Shumpert makes music. But I'm already at Shump, I don't personally even pay that much attention to it. But I do find it's every time I'm going down the wormhole on a player, I'd say 15% of the time you hear oh, and also they have Lonzo makes music. A lot of these guys.
Rappers nowadays don't have names that are words anymore either. It's all like initials or phrases or like binary code. But
yeah, it's like what Grimes named the baby.
My personal
or they just go with their actual name.
That's true. My personal favorite, Will Barton. Will Barton raps, and Will Barton, not a great rapper, but I would say Dame is better technically, sound wise, give or take. But Will Barton sounds cooler. He sounds like how I want a rapper to sound. Like he's got a bunch of chains on and he's holding a bottle of champagne and he just doesn't give a hoot. And that is what I'm looking for from my hip hop experience. He doesn't go by Will though.
Do you think
He goes
Dame
by
is
I think it's Thrill. I think the name is Thrill.
like Will just Thrill? Like not like
No,
Will
just
the Thrill?
Thrill.
Not like Trill
Which
Barton?
also he should have probably done Trill Barton. Trill Barton works and it travels well.
But it also like I mean it would have worked. I think he would have aged out of it too.
Yeah, it's
though.
true.
I like Will the Thrill. Because it's also a good basketball nickname too.
Yeah, he kind of.
Even though like he's not really like thrilling, but you know, if every once in a while he gets a transition dunk and you hear like, you know, one of the Nuggets announcers just go, Will the Thrill. Like,
that's a good
fun.
time.
That's
Nobody minds it ever.
Mm-hmm. We should recommend this to him. We're giving
away jewels. All right, let's chill. Too much free game being distributed. Thank you for coming on the pod again. Seerat, do you have any plugs you want to give out to the folks?
Oh man, I don't think so. I don't really have a lot going on right now. It's August, and, you know, literally nothing is happening. Okay. You can, I guess, follow me on Twitter. Seerat Sohi. You can maybe read me at The Ringer. Not, you know, if you want to go back and read something from like a long time ago, you can.
Sure.
But yeah, we do The Answer, which we're, you know, we'll start.
Yeah, this will probably be out around when the season starts, or at least closer to preseason.
Oh, okay. Well, I might have some stuff then, but as of now, like this is the most substantive thing I've done in like 2 weeks. You know.
Congratulations, and you're welcome. Go back and listen to some old answers. Yo, the Answer is a fantastic pod. I like listening to old NBA pods because you get it's like a feeling for all of the decisions. Like I was listening to you talk about the Raptors run for the title, and I was oh man,
yeah, we did talk.
It's just a nice it's a nice fun little time capsule, and you get to hear who was right and who was wrong. I love checking people's facts.
Yeah. True. Yeah, it is a nice snapshot of a moment. Like, I feel like I used to do that more with articles, but it's almost more honest looking back at an old podcast. Like, there's just like not as much hedging, and it's like, okay, this is exactly where we were, and where like multiple people were thinking.
You were talking about who was going to get the minutes, Norman Powell or DeLon Wright in the 2018-2019 run, and I'm like, oh snap. That was a thing that I actually did become a thing. And then there was an ad for the Robinhood app. I'm like, yo, this is insane.
Well, that's on us. We got to update those. And DeLon, like, so this was in probably December. DeLon Wright got traded. Was it right? Like, what did
so you were like, it was like, it was like, okay, so we got Kawhi now. And the host of this show was like, so how's that going to affect everybody's vibe in the locker room? Like, is anybody going to be worried about their minutes?
Yeah.
And then dude was like, specifically DeLon Wright. And then you were like, yo, he just fits too well. He's going to play. He's going to get a deal. Like the host was kind of trying to be like, is DeLon Wright not playing going to fuck up team chemistry? And you were like, no. And then it didn't. Once again, Seerat Sohi, everybody. Clap in your cars.